In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make a fabric scrub cap, which is tied around the bottom for a snug fit while maximizing poofiness. It's suitable for both long and short hair, and still roomy enough to tie around a low ponytail or bun in the back. This cap is single-sided. I will be using French seams, which is a two-step stitch, to attach the pieces so that there are no raw edges. You will need clips and/or pins, fabric scissors and/or a rotary cutter, and a 3-inch long piece of elastic of any width, and a large safety pin. The fabric consists of 3 sections. One top piece where the flat side is toward the back, 2 side pieces or 1 long side piece folded at the short straight edge, and 1 long piece for the bottom band that is at least 40 inches in length, though I recommend at least 45 inches if you want to tie around a ponytail. You can cut the top piece out of a 15-inch by 9-inch rectangle. Don't worry too much about the exact curvature. Just make sure one side is rounded and that the flat side is slightly tapered in so that it's 7 inches long. Finish the top piece by cutting a little notch at the middle of the rounded side. Now for the side piece. I'm cutting this as 2 separate mirrored pieces. You can also cut this as a single long piece, mirrored on the 6-inch flat side. Cut a 1 cm by 1 cm square at the bottom corner. This will help you attach the 2 edges to different pieces later. You can cut and assemble the bottom band however you like. It'll be folded in half lengthwise. I do recommend at least 45 inches in length, though I'm using a 40-inch piece here that I have on hand. Next, we'll be starting the pocket for the elastic on the flat edge of the top piece. Fold the flat edge over twice, making sure it'll be wide enough for whatever width elastic you're using, and press with an iron. And close with a simple stitch. Next, thread the elastic through with the safety pin. Slide and push it through, leaving a small bit of gap as seam allowance from the edge. Then attach that end of elastic. I'm using an overlock stitch for extra security. Pull the other end of the elastic through. It might be helpful to mark your spot with a fabric pin so the elastic doesn't get lost, and then attach that end as well. Now we have an elasticized top piece. Next, I will be attaching the 2 side pieces since I cut them as 2 separate ones. I'll be using a French seam. So your first seam will be with the wrong sides of the fabric facing each other, and the stitch will be on the right side of the fabric. Sew your stitch as close to the edge as you safely can. When you're done, take your scissors and clean off the edge as close to the seam as possible. Next, flip the fabric around so that the wrong side is now facing you. We'll be making a second stitch to enclose the first one, a little further out from the edge. This hides the first seam inside, so when you flip the fabric back to the right side, the seam allowance and the raw edge seam are hidden. Still on the side piece, now we'll add 4 pleats along the bottom straight edge. Starting from the middle, make marks at the 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch, and 10-inch marks. The 4 will go to the 6, and the 8 will attach to the 10. The finished side piece will look like this. You can cut off the corners of the inner seam to reduce bulk. Cut and mark the center of the bottom band, making sure that your notch is on the open side of the fabric. Line up the bottom of the side piece with the open edge of the bottom band. Make sure all the open edges are aligned together towards the bottom and that the band is against the wrong side of the side piece. This is to set up for another French seam. Now we'll be making our first attaching stitch close to the edge, taking out the clips as we go. I find it easier to sew this first stitch with the band on top, so you have better visibility on keeping the edges lined up. When you're done with this first step, the seam will be visible from the right side of the fabric. Take your scissors and clean off the edge close to your first seam. Next, we'll flip around to the wrong side and sew our enclosing stitch. Once again, the second seam should be a bit further out from your first seam. When you're done, the hidden seam will be sticking out on the wrong side of the fabric and hidden from the right side. Now we're going to attach the top piece. Keep in mind which direction your hidden seam falls and match the middle rounded notch of your top piece to the top middle of the side piece, making sure the wrong sides are facing together. This forms kind of a T shape. We'll be attaching the curved edges of each side together. I find it easier to start at the top middle where your notch is and sew one side at a time. So that's one side. Now I'll turn around, go back to the middle top, and sew down the other curved side. Now our cap is starting to take shape. Once again, our first seam is visible from the right side of the fabric. Take your scissors and clean off any excess, staying close to the edge. Now we'll be doing our final and closing seam along the entire curved length of the earlier seam, going from one side of the elastic to the other. This seam is a bit trickier because it's curved, so take your time with this one. Feel free to start at the middle again and do one side at a time. When you're done, the hidden seam will be visible on the wrong side, along with all the other hidden seams. When we flip it back to the right side, all the seams will be hidden. Next, we'll be closing off the open edges of the bottom band with a top stitch. Tuck in all the open sides and flatten with your iron. For the final step, I reinforce the corners by tucking them in and running an overlock stitch along the inner hidden seam. If you'd like, you can add 2 buttons on the side as ear savers. And there you have it, a Poofy scrub cap. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that it was helpful, and happy sewing!